Today on The Boot Guy, we are looking at the Weldor from Ever Boots. Guys, yes, I know I've waited a really long time to review this boot because when you look out there in the blogosphere, in the internet, and on the interwebs and all that stuff, what you're going to notice, there's a lot of guys saying really nice things about this boot. And I had to determine whether or not it's because they got free boots and they didn't want to lose, they didn't want to cut that off. You know, getting a bunch of free boots when you're a working guy is a really good thing. So you kind of don't want to shoot yourself in the foot and not get any more boots, because that could save you, a couple $100 over the course of a year if you're getting a bunch of these for free. So I really wanted to wear these a bit, look at them a bit, and get to really understand if they really are everything that guys are saying about them. Before I shot this video, before I told you guys that it's a halfway decent boot, I wanted to know for myself. Alright, so let's just look over the basics of the boot. It's a basic leather wedge sole boot. It's your classic American style work boot. It's not made in America. This boot is made in China. This boot runs about $69.99. So this is not an expensive boot. This is not a Thorogood. This is not a Red Wing. And I gotta say, for that price point, this is not a Die Hard either, or a Texas Steer. I mean, you know these brands. That's Kmart and that's Sears. I think if you can get them online now, it's Die Hard's only online. I don't know if there's any more Sears stores left. But that's where this boot falls into the classification, the price range classification, with it being a $69 boot. Is it worth 69 bucks? Hell yeah. This thing is worth every penny of $69 as a work boot. You're going to be comfortable. It's going to be semi-durable when you consider how it is that they built this boot and designed this boot, and their philosophy behind why a boot like this exists. All right, so as always, let's start with the sole. Let's talk about the sole that they're using. Let me take this boot apart so we can just start looking inside here as we move along, as we start to really do things with this boot. I'm pulling out the insole. We're not talking about that yet. We're going to talk about the sole. So thick wedge sole. It's a soft crepe material. It is nothing like a Vibram Christie. It is nothing like a Thorogood Maxwear sole. It might look like it. It might feel like it. The urethane rubber material that they're using here is much softer, much less dense, and offers a really big bounce. Now, that might be good if you're looking for a super comfortable all-day boot. And don't get me wrong, I love a nice soft pair of boots. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. But when it comes to work boots, when it comes to durability, when it comes to longevity, the sole is the most important thing. So in my opinion, the material might be a little bit too soft if you're planning on wearing this as an everyday boot on rougher surfaces. Now, if you're a finished carpenter, if you're an internal carpenter, if you're even a framer, strictly carpenters, you could be an electrician, you could be a new construction electrician, new construction plumber. You probably shouldn't wear this if you're a plumber. But if you're in any of those trades where it's all new construction, where you're walking across plywood or MDX, is that what that stuff's called? That particle board from Georgia Pacific, I think it's called MDX. If you're walking across that stuff all day long, yeah, this sole is fine. But typically what I'm used to seeing guys wearing wedge sole boots are not carpenters here in the Midwest. When I see guys wearing wedge sole boots, they're usually pipe fitters, they're usually iron workers, or they're the type of carpenter that's doing a lot of framing for curbs, for rebar and stuff like that. So this sole is much too soft for those types of trades. And it's not that it's bouncy soft. It's not that it's, it's a less of a dense soft. It's too soft for that. Standing on rebar all day long with this, or even standing on I-beams with nuts coming through and bolts coming through, if you're stepping on a bolt, it's going to telegraph through. The sole is much too soft for that kind of work. Finished carpentry, new construction, that sole, perfect. All right, so the leather doesn't look like leather. It truly doesn't. Out of the box, when they're new, it looks like a vinyl. It looks like a cheap vinyl jacket from the 70s, a Fonzie coat, let's say that, right? But it's leather, and as you start to wear it throughout the first and second day and you start to sweat in it, the leather takes on more of a leathery look. It gets past that finish that they put on there. And I'm noticing a lot of the less expensive boots are finishing their leather so that they look consistent all the way through. And that's really important. If you want to create a consistent looking boot so that when the consumer pulls it out of the box, that they don't see any scarring or any too much oil in one section or something like that, like you get with other fine leather made products. Yeah, I understand the look. I understand the finishing when you approach it like that, because guys that are paying $70 for a pair of boots, they might not have the grasp on how a leather boot should look, or how it's made, or how when you have a leather boot and you start to push on it, you can push the oil out of it when it's a heavy oiled boot. This, when you push on it, there's not a lot of oil in here. It's been chemically treated. It's been taken care of so it has a consistent look. Between both pairs, I can't see a color difference. And it's not because they cut it from the same piece of leather. It could be, but it's just a consistency in the dyeing process. It's nice, it works, it does nothing to hurt the boot, but that's why they don't look like other leather boots. All right, so when you unlace it and you look, we got nice brass eyelets, nice brass single piece machined speed laces. Very important. I talk about speed laces all the time because these are the parts that break off. These are the parts that get caught on your pants. These are the parts that usually fail, our speed laces. Ever took the extra step and they did use a very nice speed lace. I'm happy to see this. This is thinking. If you're ever going to engineer something that's going to be for a working man, you got to understand what they're breaking, how they're destroying it, and speed laces come off all the time. So this is a nice touch. It's a gusseted tongue. I like the gusseted tongue. I like the gusseted tongue in this boot. There's no cutout so you don't run your laces through. The gusseted tongue is thick enough and heavy enough that it stays in place. It doesn't roll around. It doesn't rock into your ankle on one side or the other. It stays right in place, and it's extremely comfortable. The other part that really stands out is that they used a pig padded collar. Nice touch. You find this on all the higher end work boots, the $150 to $200 work boots. They start using nice cured pig for the top of it with a little padding behind there. Very comfortable. Lacing this thing up the first day, that collar did not dig in. And actually nothing in this boot dug in on that first day. All right, let's get to the internal guts of this boot. Now on the inside, what you're going to find is it's unlined leather. And yeah, it's nice. I love unlined leather. Hot weather, 100-degree day plus weather, no break from the sun. An unlined leather boot when you have to wear boots in that type of weather is ideal. Now, the heel cup I don't like. They used a paper type fabric material in the heel quarter. I don't like this. It's nice and smooth, it's comfortable. I would like to see some pigskin back in the heel section, but in the vamp also they used a heavy cotton. So kind of the heel section for construction, for engineering, for the way I know a boot's going to wear out. Not really keen on it, but we are talking about a $70 boot here. We are not talking about a $200 boot where they can take that extra step. They can buy those extra materials because you're going to carry it through the price of the boot. Will it fail? No. You'll probably wear it out like you would on any of your heels if you got pointy heels, but it's just not one of my favorite things. I like leather because as your foot sweats, leather offers some sort of resistance. So that means when your boot's tied to your foot, there's no movement in the heel. There's nothing there to cause a blister on a long day because you're locked into that whole section. And having a polyester type material back there, because that's what it looks like and that's what it feels like. I don't see that really holding up that well, but like I said, $70 boot. Insole. Nothing to write home about in the insole. It's a basic single layer foam insole with a little bit of a polyester wicking material on top. It's soft, it's comfortable, it is what it is when you think about this boot, but under that you do have a nice hard footboard, and that was a nice surprising touch. That hard footboard, if you have to wear orthotics, if you're one of those guys who's got orthotics from your doctor that your company paid for, this boot is going to accept your orthotics really nicely. If you have high arches, plantar fasciitis, any of those conditions where you're wearing special insoles, this boot is actually going to accept them extremely nice. It has a Goodyear welt. Now that's nice, and it is a real Goodyear welt. It is stitched all the way around. It is stitched down. It's nice. It is a great touch for this. It's a double stitch across the toe, so if you're kicking stuff, you're not going to pull those sections apart. Like if you remember from a few videos ago that I did a pair of wedge sole dress boots, I tore off the front. Now, wedge sole dress boots, wearing as work boots, you could expect me to tear off the front, but that's stitched down because, like I said before, with the eyelids, Ever actually looked at work boots. They didn't look at casual boots. They didn't try to make something that's based around that world. They based it around a work boot, and that is really nice. All right, so let's talk about comfort and size and fit in one single block, okay? Comfort out of the box, first day, no break-in. This boot, zero break-in. Unlike a pair of higher-end Red Wings Thorogoods or even Danners, you're going to have to break those boots in. It's thicker leather. It's a little bit heavier sole. It's a heavier welting process. The stitching's even heavier. Everything in those brands is made to be heavy-duty work boots. This, on the other hand, the stitching is lighter weight. There's less of it. The welt is a soft welt, so it flexes easier. The sole is softer. It's less dense, so it's more bouncy. You have a bouncy insole on top of a hard footboard. No lining inside the leather, so there's nothing to make this boot uncomfortable your first day on the job site with it. Out of the box, starting on a Monday morning at 6 a.m., you're going to be fine till you know, the whistle blows at 2:30, 3 o'clock. You're going to be okay. All right, now about size and fit, the one thing I noticed is I got my size from the company, and yes, 12 fit fine. So go with your size. They only have Ds, no double E's, but the boot will stretch out. If you're a double E, you can swing a D. If it's tight the first hour, by the second, third hour, you'll forget about it because you'll be so comfortable with the bouncy sole, the soft leather, and all the other stuff. You're not going to worry about that. Now, a drawback here on the Ever boots is their size scale, 6 to 13. They're not making 14 and 15s, so you're losing a lot of customers there by not making those sizes, but Ever's a new company. They haven't been around for 100 years, so they're just getting used to it. They're getting their feet wet, so they're starting with the belly sizes, with their core sizes. It's understandable. Give them a year or two, let them sell another 100,000 of these to the American market, to the overseas market, and I bet you they will add in widths and they will add in more sizes. All right, so now my personal opinion on this, you know, since this is something that gets talked about out there in the social media a lot, every time you search out these boots for the next 3 or 4 days, you're going to get the cookies attached to your Facebook, attached to your Instagram, or whatever you're using to check out the social media out there. You're going to get the cookies of the guys talking about the boots, telling you how, you know, they're a great work boot and whatnot. And that's where I really draw the line. And that's what I talked about at the beginning of the video. If you're sending somebody a free pair of boots and they're just going to talk about them favorably, they're not going to open it up and really look inside, they're just going to work in it, understandable. They're going to be favorable. If they're not having a bad day at work, if they're not stepping on nails and they're coming through, yeah, they're going to say, okay, you know, I like the boot. From the Boot Guy Reviews opinions, okay, send me all the free boots you want, but I am going to deconstruct and look inside there and say that, no, this is not a Thorogood, this is not a Red Wing. Don't think like that. This is a inexpensive work boot. If you need a pair of work boots for the summer because you're working with your old man, you're working with your family business, or you just got a job on a crew for a short period of time, this boot, beautiful. perfect. It will do everything you expect it to do. It's not safety toe, there's no heavy duty shank, it's super soft, it's comfortable, you'll be happy at work as you're learning a trade. Great boot for that. If you're a seasoned worker, if you're a guy that's been in the field for more than 10 years, unless you're on a tight budget, you just got divorced, or you're going through some sort of financial issues, yeah, okay. Avoid these unless you really just need an inexpensive pair of work boots. Remember, these are not waterproof. No amount of mink oil or spraying these is going to make them waterproof. The leather has been chemically treated, so it's not going to accept that type of treatment like a oiled boot will. So you're not going to keep that much water out if you're looking for that. And that's why I said earlier, this is not a good boot for plumbers. Electricians, finish carpenters, framers, installers, guys like that, yeah. The one thing I'm going to say about this too is the sole is too soft, and what really freaks me out with soft soles is puncturing the sole. Because I work around a lot of sharp metal, a lot of self-tapping screws, you know, sometimes I'm cutting shit apart and I'm just leaving it laying around and I'm walking on it, hence why I mainly work in like loggers and heavy duty boots that have at least a leather or a puncture resistant, you know, midsole. This thing freaks me out. Especially seeing a lot of framing carpenters use these, because you step on one nail, it's going right through. Somebody's shooting nails below you and one pops through a 2x4 or a pair. The sole is just too soft for that. I would imagine that even a hawthorn walking through a field could probably puncture the sole. And that's not the best thing in the world. It's not the worst thing in the world. It shouldn't be a game changer for you, because soft soles are comfortable. And comfort is good. Being happy at work is good. Not thinking about your feet is good. So, in my opinion, it's a great place to spend 70 bucks. If you can afford a better, more expensive boot, then you need to start looking at better, more expensive boots. If you need an inexpensive pair of boots, go for it. You won't be sorry. So that's the Weldor by Ever Boots. Hey guys, if you're currently looking at buying a pair of these, or if you've got a pair, if you're walking around these in the job site right now, please comment below. If you're one of the guys that has shot a video and talked about the boots favorably, please comment below. Let guys know where they can find your media. Let them see what it is that you said about this boot, because all that information for a working class guy is really important before they dish out the money on a pair of inexpensive boots. Is it going to be money well spent? Please, guys, comment below. Hey guys, if you're interested in seeing some of the photos I took while I was running around in these for the last 2 weeks, please swing by Instagram. You will find the photos there. The few that I did take, you will see me out in the field testing these boots out. I gotta say, I was happy, but I still did go back to wearing my loggers, mainly because it's not safety toe and it's not puncture proof, and I need those things in my line of work. Gentlemen, if you're about to buy a pair of these and you really got some questions now after watching my video and watching other videos, please feel free to contact me on Instagram. You'll find my Instagram link somewhere up there or there. Go through that. Send me a personal message, tell me what your plans are, what you're going to do in these boots, and let me help you make that purchase. All right, until the next time, I'm the Boot Guy. Thanks a lot for watching.